I'm not going to be the guy who gives you the bad news, but I know that you and your wife feel strongly that they really have issues. You have issues with geoaggregates, or you have in the past expressed them with the previous. Yeah. So you can bring that up, but there's big news about geoaggregates.
It's not good.
The pollution on the property.
Go on, no, look, you know what? Let me jump right in.
Do the stuff you need to get done.
Have you seen this yet? Have I given you this? Yes.
You have done.
This vision of the daylight increase is very, very exciting.
Well,
And the idea here is we need a thorough cleanup of that mill pond. And if we do the right thing as a community now to anticipate sea level rise, climate change, and earthquake, and all the obvious things, tsunami, earthquake, and all that, then we have a chance to do a fantastic environmental restoration. Yeah, I know you are. I know you guys are all for it. But let me just show you, just in case you're not hip to this part. What we did, what the artist and I did, is this is the actual trail that's being required right now to connect the north and south.
Okay. Do your business.
Yeah. So do we have a date?
Yes, we do. Mateo ran upstairs to get the firm date, because it's on my iPad, all my city council stuff, and I don't have it with me.
They said the 23rd at the meeting.
Yeah, it's either the 22nd or the 23rd.
Okay.
You have a note you want to read?
And it's a 6 p.m. start. I'm sure he's gonna be ready to get that.
So my issue is I am so happy looking seriously at the creek daylighting. I know Leslie's going to be excited about it too, and it sounds like others at the table are. We need to not just have what I'm afraid I have to frame as another missed opportunity here in Fort Bragg by doing a cursory look at something and then moving on. If this is a thorough examination on the 23rd with the opportunity for subsequent meetings if we need them, then we are starting on a great path. And I think that's what the sense I get from at least from yourself and from at least one other member, a couple other members of the City Council. I'm really pleased that we're doing this. These issues are way too big to be left up to DTSC, that in my opinion is not doing the job they should be doing. I forwarded to you some very interesting information, both on dioxins and on DTSC's regulatory failures, you could call it. Some people go to this very negative place. I really think they just are an overwhelmed agency. You know, I'm not attributing anything. I'm trying to be as clear as I can, but don't just rely on DTSC to do what is best for our community, is what I'm saying. And so, at 6 p.m.
Other council members haven't confirmed that they can make it, but it looks like that's what it's going to be.
So this should be the first of a number of meetings if we need that. I'll tell you in the outset, of course I've been working on this for 14 years. We've been calling for creek daylighting since 2005. But the cleanup issues are the ones that when I started this process, I didn't know I was going to learn so much about dioxin and and the natural attenuation of heavy metals in soils and all of this stuff. And what we're now discovering, those of us who have been on the case for a long time, is the imperative of the cleanup is huge, because as Leslie will confirm, and I think anybody else who has done this grant thing, if we go to a generous foundation or the government agencies that are really working on climate adaptation, environmental restoration, greenhouse gas, mitigation funds for environmental restoration, all these things are happening hugely in California. If we go to them and say, well, but we have this big cleanup issue that we're not really sure is gonna, they'll just go, well, you gotta solve that one first. And I wish we could just go to the happy talk. I'm big on happy talk, but we really have to be tough about the cleanup. And they have stalled, delayed. Well, you've heard me say this many times, and you know, I think we've documented just an extremely slow, reluctant cleanup process. Now, the city is in an awkward position. This is where citizens can do something for the city, because the city has to be very polite because GP's ready to sue at the drop of a hat. That's what they do. I can say that, you can't. I mean, that's, you know, as a mayor, you don't have the right to say that. This is an awkward thing, but we have to make sure that this cleanup happens so that we can take advantage of these other great opportunities, which will be so great for our community. I just can't tell you. I mean, communities that have taken this path. So my basic message is, you know, who's in charge of this meeting on the 6th? I think you really should get people like Leslie and myself consulting prior to that meeting, so you don't have another situation, which I feel has happened many times.
Well, here's the purpose of the meeting.
Yes.
Before we get into too much detail.
Sure.
The purpose of the meeting is to determine whether the council as a whole, or a majority of the council, favors daylighting the creeks.
Cool.
Okay? That's what it's about.
Yes.
And the stakeholders and the agencies that you spoke of at one of our meetings here are hopefully going to be at the table. That would include Fish and Wildlife, that would include a whole myriad.
So they don't have a replacement for Angela yet. I mean, she's kind of filling in because that's the stream bed operation person.
So what we're trying to do,
Is this live or just taped?
it's live. So what we're trying to do is determine
Facebook Live.
to whether or not staff will get direction from the council to pursue this, because it's going to take a lot of time, as you know.
Right.
It's going to take a lot of effort.
This is very reassuring. This is not a meeting
So this
to go
is not a
through all the
meeting.
issues.
No, this is a meeting to find out, is there support from this council
Fabulous.
to look into daylighting the creeks? And I suspect that there is, but that's what that's about.
Right.
And there will be some information provided to council, what dangers may lie ahead if you do it, how long it may take, those kind of things. But in terms of the cleanup and all that, and the minutia and the detail, that will come in subsequent meetings once. I mean, this is to determine, should we go in that direction?
Great, because on Wednesday, I'm very pleased to hear this. Last Wednesday, we had a quarterly city staff and people, dialogue. And at that meeting, I said, now, are we going to cover all the issues that I and many in our community want to cover? And the answer I heard from staff was, yes, we're going to cover everything. So I was troubled by that. That's why I came this morning to express to you.
I think
I'm also going to go to Linda and Marie and the whole staff, and I'm going to say, we can't discuss all this in one day and have an adequate examination. So you're saying we're just going to decide whether this is a direction?
Yeah, hopefully enough information will come forward so that we can make an intelligent decision about whether to proceed or not.
Great.
So I think things like, how much staff time do you think this is going to take?
Right.
Those kind of questions.
Yeah, because there's money too.
What are the agencies we're going to have to work with to do this?
Right.
What kind of relationship do we have with those agencies? Those are the kind of questions I anticipate.
Great.
You should also be asking, can we form a citizen advisory
group?
where that would be assisting, and because there are ways that we can help.
Yeah.
So it's not all just staff.
Right. And it should be set up in a way that is going to be helpful in that direction, so that a citizens advisory committee will not be comprised of people who will be against daylighting the creek, or
Yeah, no, I don't. This would be a focused group of people who have an objective as an outcome.
I think that's.
I've already talked to the Coastal Conservancy about this, and they like the idea.
Right.
They like the idea of getting a group of stakeholders together, which would include people from, obviously, the Noyo Center is very interested in this. They haven't taken a position on that, and I'm not saying that, but they are very, very interested. Remember what Sheila said at the meeting when she said, when I came here with the Coastal Conservancy, we always thought the Mill Pond was going away, that berm was going away, and we've always loved the idea of creek daylight. She was not speaking for the Noyo Center.
Right.
She was speaking on her own. And there are many, we've made presentations about this creek daylight to environmental groups. So there are people like Fish and Wildlife Audubon loves the idea of the restoration of the wetlands. And so when I spoke to the Coastal Conservancy, and then I'll shut up after this. When I spoke to the Coastal Conservancy, it was about having a group that was going to focus on all the wetlands involved in OUE. And this is the interesting thing, is GP may have outfoxed themselves by avoiding all the cleanups and leaving out all the wetland areas until the end. Because now we have all the wetland areas on the mill site. And I have a map here that shows where the cleanup is right now. And this OUE is an incredible opportunity for our community to create restored, regenerative wetlands, whatever term you want to use, that are prepared for sea level rise, are thinking about adaptation, and are storing carbon in the soils. All these things that we want to do to deal with climate change. Thank you for.
Very good. And let's remember too that one of the principles of the Coastal Commission is to, when possible, restore and enhance the natural resources in an area that have been destroyed by that sort of development. So I'm sure they'll be on board too. Yes. Thank you.
Actually, I haven't seen your latest version.
Okay. So is that a meeting tonight that they're gonna talk about?
No, it's March 23rd.
March 23rd.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased.
It's a special meeting with one item on the agenda, daylighting the creeks, housing council.
But it is a public meeting.
Forward.
I've already been writing to people, it's a notice meeting, and you should come.
But remember now, if two council members it's not confirmed because nobody,
I understand. The date isn't confirmed yet.
I sat down with Linda and we went over the calendar, and this is the date I came up with.
So you're proposing for the 23rd at 6? Okay, at
Town Hall.
Okay, so it's not a walking tour, it's a meeting.
It's a meeting. Do we want to move forward in this direction?
This is totally exciting to me, and I'm very much ready to share everybody here.
I can feel your adrenaline.
Well, I was all prepared to make an argument. We can't cover all that stuff in one meeting, so this is great.
Yeah. No, I think this is, whether we should start scheduling more meetings. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Ed was here.
Well, everybody else is here before me. So.
That's okay.
Well, Doug was here next. Doug?
Oh, all right. Our interest currently, and we've been discussing this with a great many people in the community, is regarding the homeless situation. And I've spoken in public about it. Our position is entirely to help anybody that needs help themselves. So we're not anxious to give away things. That attracts more people who are not willing to work. And we feel that if they do the required background checks for people who are staying in the shelters, that's protection to the other people staying in the shelters.
Right.
And if the word goes out, what Bragg will help, you help yourself.
Right.
But if you are, the police are looking for you, don't come here, because we're gonna find that out and we're gonna tell them. So that word will go out quickly, yes. This is not specifically you I'm talking about.
Right, no, but again, well, here's what, I happen to be with a business owner in the alley looking at potential places for a security camera on the back of the hospitality house. Policeman arrived, Officer Neal has been dealing with this issue. And he occasionally has breakfast there, and he has a list of everybody who is staying there currently. He goes through that list, he found 4 warrants.
Okay.
He was there to arrest people.
Okay.
And while I was there, a guy walked up the alley and got arrested. So the police now are at least trying to make an effort, without stepping on anybody's civil rights,
Exactly.
to answer some of the questions you just brought up of public safety for those that are there that might be suddenly a victim of a crime because this is a criminal staying there, and so.
Yeah. Everyone's protection.
So there's a letter that went out. It went out to the council members, so I didn't feel I should share it here. But out of that public safety committee meeting and out of the council meeting, when we came up with what we thought were some ideas to start solving some of these problems, the city manager went right down the list and sent a letter to Linnell and Anna Shaw to please work to correct these problems. Among them were returning the shopping carts and some sort of shopping cart return program. The loitering problem, when to go out and look around and make sure that, you know, they're not bothering other people and who they're responsible for. The list goes on. So what came out of the initial meeting at the council and then the public safety committee, which by the way got continued. So our next public safety committee in March is going to pick up where we left off and still be addressing this issue.
It's gonna be in the morning instead.
Yeah, but I've got, I have some ideas. I'll share them with you. The three ideas I came up with are: one, to have a list from the hospitality house of who's staying there, and have that list provided to the police department in case there are some people there who shouldn't be.
Outstanding warrants, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
To have a security camera system put up back behind the alley there, because there's a lot of the problems are fostered right there when people are waiting.
Yeah.
And you can get a 4-camera system that'll do the job for $350. And there's a place up high in the back of that building you could mount it. You probably have to put a metal cage or something to protect it so someone doesn't throw a rock and knock it out.
Right.
And then the other is to put a couple of benches either right inside the property in the front, or on the sidewalk with the back of the benches up against the picket fence there, and give them an encroachment permit from the city, but they'll provide the benches so that the people that are waiting for services aren't sitting in an empty bus stop,
Sure.
or aren't sitting in a street corner somewhere, but are waiting right there. So those are 3 suggestions that kind of came out of some of the complaints people have.
Who oversees the Fort Bragg Police Department?
The police chief is hired by the city manager.
Who oversees him and the rest of the
The
department?
city manager oversees the police chief.
But the city manager is not an elected official.
That's correct. This is a city manager position.
That's a very strong bit of authority.
That bit of authority was transferred in a general law city. The California code says that the city council shall appoint the police chief,
Good to know.
not might. It
Okay.
says shall. However,
Gotcha.
later in the city code, it says that a city council can relinquish that responsibility to the city manager under a city manager form of government. A council prior to our council did that, so that the city manager hires the police chief.
Okay. But you oversee the city manager, so you in effect are the final, okay. Well, you have this legal document of what is permitted and not as far as aggressive solicitation and everything
Right.
else.
Mhm.
Excuse me. And so many of these unlawful acts are, you can see, commonly occurring probably throughout the country, not just here.
Mhm.
So really, all we're saying is the police can be more proactive in
I
being
agree.
aware of these and trying to enforce them, not taking
Right.
anyone's privacy, not
Right.
being offensive to anybody, but making it just a general policy that.
I gave that direction at the council, at the public safety committee meeting, and at the council meeting. More specifically at the public safety committee meeting. What are you doing? What in other communities? There's something called consensual contact, which doesn't mean up against the wall, you know, like that. It just means, hey, how you doing? Haven't seen you around. Where are you from? How's everything going? By the way, we got a hospitality house if you need a place to stay and some, a couple of meals.
Good.
We got the hospitality center if you want to get in a program and try to get back on your feet, transitional housing. However, if 4 days from now you're still sitting around here, want to know what's going on.
And
By the way, can I take a look in your backpack? What do you got going in your backpack there? Smells like something, maybe that's, whatever, but pot's legal now, but you know what I'm saying? In other words,
no, I
be
won't
nice
intrude. I
about
won't
it.
intrude. If they have a
But-
pot, I'd give them some if they didn't have any. So.
But I guess the point I'm getting at is to have
Facebook,
is to get word out that you better be part of the program here, and if you're not, the police are going to make it a little uncomfortable for you. Something I've been pushing for 2 years since I was last elected again is foot patrol downtown.
Could I
Gentlemen,
make a quick comment, please?
Sure.
Concerning
That's why we're here.
the conversation at hand.
Please.
Right.
I've been here for 2 years, and I've been in a situation with a girl I came to help go through the house. Basically, my point I'm trying to make is the current conditions in the house and the cycle of people that get overturned at the house, and the just promises that aren't held. I went to the center You know, I tried to stay at the house, and I mean, it's literally impossible for me to do it. When I showed up with my bike and had more gear than the 2-foot square area in the closet at the house, they want you to get rid of all your camping gear to check in, and then what happens when you don't make your bed right 2 days in a row and get kicked out, and these people are being that nitpicky. And so, I mean, to be a part of the program as much as we want to be, I'm kicked out of every program right now for having an argument during EWS and the thermostat being turned up to 90 degrees. I have a heart condition. Dehydration can trigger a heart attack in me. I don't take it lightly. I had an argument in EWS, and I've been kicked out of every service, including mental health, and without any recourse. I requested a grievance from Tracy when notified that I wouldn't be allowed back on the property. And gloating in his mind because he was fired last year at the same church over the same problem, turning the thermostat up to 90. So he tells me, no, I won't give you a grievance right now. Now I can't go back to the property to get one. I can't get to a phone to call Patients' Rights Advocate. I've been trying to reach out for 2 weeks now to at least be able to get in to use the showers. My behavior that night was no different than Chico that got up and made a half-hour drunk and, threatening seminar. The other guy that got caught with a half gallon of vodka. I've been proactive and helped and worked for these people for 2 years, and now that I've stood up and said things against them in the city, I'm being targeted to a degree that I'm here to say, as much as you guys want everybody to go to these programs, they are so out of hand, not good.
That's a whole other issue.
How many places have you been required to leave because of arguing?
Well, it wasn't, I didn't want to leave.
I understand. He asked you to leave because of the way you were conducting yourself. Is that what
Yes,
you're saying? How many places did that happen?
Never before, and actually last year I was requested by them, and this year they called it to help self-police the group. They've asked me to do that for the last 2 years.
Gotcha.
And in my eyes, that's all I was doing that night. But the thing, the services are just to such a low. The washer and dryer hadn't been fixed for almost a month now. I'm just saying, in the services, my mental health provider that I went to came up with 2 client plans that I had to refuse to sign because they were so negligent in the wording that it was more defamation of character than anything. Okay.
No, I know,
So these
part of
are
the problem
the
is that we
issues.
can't just,
I'm looking for, what my point being
because
is
I've heard this from several people, and I
Right.
talked to you, and I know it's an issue, and I don't know what to do about it.
Well said, sir.
In
Well
every
said.
other industry
Right.
in America, there is such thing as called quality control.
Right.
Okay, and there is non-existent quality control there, and that's what I'm saying. How does the public and whoever is letting these people in charge make these decisions, letting them get away with what they're doing without any recourse for people?
Well, now the mayor knows, so you made a good point.
And he's not the first. Who I was talking to on the phone, the issue I was talking about before you walked in?
I didn't
This
get the issue.
very same issue with
Okay.
a completely different person.
Gotcha.
So I know there are major problems down there, the way it's being administered. I don't know, since it's really all the city did when we passed, the city's a vehicle to get a community development block grant. So basically it was a pass-through. We will apply for this grant for you. When we get the money, we'll give it to you. And then the CDBG, they're the ones that come up with the grant covenants. They're the ones that should be doing quality control. As I've said many times, we don't even have a social services department. We don't even have a code enforcement type person that can go there and say, hey, you're not doing this, you're not doing this.
I can't find
So we,
anyone in town to terminate
Yeah.
local violations.
There isn't one.
Could the city council write to the CBDG commission and explain what is happening?
Well, we
Because,
might have to, I don't know what to do. I'm getting very frustrated because this is a time sapper too. There's so many other
It's
things. And we're
destroying
spending
lives, too.
all our time
And a
on
lot,
this.
a
well,
lot of the
city kind of
reasons that people
initiated
have
by
these
giving
warrants
us
are
so
for
many
issues with the house
$100,000
being called for trespassing and these really stupid issues that they're getting warrants for because
Right.
they're just showing up to get services and
Right.
getting kicked out and then get upset. And then
Well
they
said.
call
So it
it-
sounds like what we need is some sort of investigation, for lack of a better term, or somebody to really take a look at what's going on. And most of these services are provided, the county still has a social services department. The county contracts out to provide the social services in that building. And I know Supervisor Jordy's been working on it to a certain degree, but it seems to me they should be the lead agency at this point, maybe with some pressure from the city to start doing some sort of investigation. What's really going on there? How's this money getting spent? How are these people being treated? I'm hearing from employees
I
down
can't
there
understand,
too.
I can't understand how it's gotten to this.
You know, just a letter from your office to them saying the following complaints have been brought to my attention, would you please address them and let me know?
Well, I plan
End
on
of
doing
story.
that. Yeah.
They're gonna
Can
jump
we
right
let
on it.
Richard speak?
Yeah, pardon me.
Yeah.
Richard?
Oh boy, do I have a lot to say. I've been dealing with that system for 3.5
Right.
years.
Exactly.
I've been there longer than most of their staff. I've been on their staff. I ran the emergency winter shelter twice. This year I got fired because I had a meltdown over them not supporting me in my job, making my life dangerous on the streets and my job, and not finding it a way to even help me try to find a place to live, even though I'm on their payroll.
Would this be effective if the mayor's office wrote requesting they address these problems that you've
Well,
experienced?
his problems occurred also. What he's saying, they didn't support him, and he's talked to me before was,
Okay.
I'll just jump in because he was working there.
Yeah.
One of the clients sort of got in his face and got
Yeah,
angry,
he's
and
had
so
a
he
history of
basically kind of gave it back.
Yeah.
And then
The
the
guy has a
organization
history.
took the side of the client
That's like-
instead of his.
Yeah.
And
Got you.
When this client has a history of, he sent me with a knife before in the past, and this is another show I wanted to bring up real quick, you know, me and Richard are, I don't know, lack of a better word, maybe a little more mentally sane than a lot of people that come through there. And I have been there is basically to be a witness of somebody that can speak in a manner, because most of these people can't dialogue back, you know, in an effective means in any way, shape, or form. And this is what I've been doing for 2 years. Is, you know, and I've done my own investigation. I have quite a bit of paperwork, and I have people that want to come forward with paperwork right now. I'm going to be meeting with Bernie later to try to set up a meeting, but believe me, you know,
All right, well,
it's-
Bernie's on the public safety committee meeting, so that's a good choice.
Would that,
Bernie
would that
knows
be
things.
helpful to actually have, you know? I mean,
That's why I
so
can't understand why he
You've
come to me.
spoken with the mayor, you've spoken with the mayor, but, you know,
I've talked to Dan Jury.
I've
So-
got
Dan
it.
Jury tells me he's not a social worker.
so,
We get to run around.
yeah, no, and I understand, because when you're living life on the edge like that, it doesn't take much to push people over, and then they go to a not safe place, and you're right there on the front line trying to help.
Well, here's my
And to
recourse
take care
to
of
it.
yourself as well.
Here's been my recourse to it. It's just I've run into a lot of problems. If I can't get help through the system, I'll start my own program. So I started Green and Sober, incorporated it. I've run into a lot of problems. The biggest problem I run into is people with the letters behind their names come with expectations of we're going after grant money, I can build Medi-Cal. They want to build the system that I'm having such problem with, just like that. And they just want, they're going, what do you got a problem with? You're at the top. It's like, I don't want to do, wait, excuse me, I don't want to do to the people what's been done to me. So I'm trying to put it in a circle to where it gets out to the people that need it, that actually want to get sober, and actually want to be productive members of society. And we're going to use the 4 agreements, which is be impeccable with your word, don't take things personal, don't assume anything, and do your best, which I've been floundering on some of that stuff, I must tell
So
you.
the,
we all
so
have.
the bureaucracy is hindering tremendously.
I'm being retaliated in my eyes for telling the truth from the very beginning.
So
The problem
have
with
you
the-
documented any of this in writing?
I have a file thicker than the one they have on me.
So if you call basically saying this needs to be investigated, there would be,
Right, and part of the problem, I think, part of the problem is human nature again. Because any kind of institution, any kind of program is only as good as the people that are working it. And if you get people that are working the program and working in an institution that have failings and make poor judgment decisions, then is it really the program's fault or is it the people's fault? And so, I mean, this is a multi-layered situation we have going there.
It's
And I'm totally aware of it. We're trying to work on it right now the best we can. A letter was written to both Anna Shaw and Linnell Johnson, who's on the board, and then the CEO, for lack of a better term, of the hospitality San Fran House, with some asking them to make some changes and to look into some issues that brought up. Many of them issues that came from folks like you. So that's the first step, is to, okay, here are the problems that we've been made aware of. Do something to correct these problems. Now, if 2 weeks go by and a month goes by and nothing's been done, then the next letter might you know, be a little more harsh or, you know, have more consequences.
It should be there already.
Yeah, well, I know, but like Leslie's trying to say, you have to sort of document things and sort of move it forward to really have some teeth to it, you know,
Yeah, but in the
it can't be
meantime-
hearsay, keep documenting.
Continually.
We'll keep documenting it. Yeah, yeah.
In the meantime, there are real people having, you know, real struggles on the street, and so what you're saying is some of these people who have warrants, the warrants themselves might not actually be that
A
bad.
lot of them are very minimal,
Right.
conditional things.
Right.
But my one more thing I want to this is how serious the situation is. I have personal knowledge of somebody that has made threats with weaponry, you know, assault weapons. I'm putting myself in a position in the middle of this that I don't appreciate because these people's mental health workers are not spotting it. He said things right there in the giving garden, right in front of workers and everything. And I don't want to put myself in the middle of it, but I'm starting getting to feel like if I don't do anything, when something happens, it's going to be on my head. But this is how serious the issues are that these mental health workers over there are missing. These aren't things that need to be crawled up on. There's people that really are in a situation that needs to be dealt with sooner than later.
The last time I checked, they didn't even have social workers that were licensed by the state of California as such.
It's
So
They're not required.
scary. what's
Yeah, I
going
know
on.
they're not required to, but if they're not required to, then exactly what he's talking about is likely to happen because they're not trained.
Which puts everyone in
Everyone in
danger.
risk.
I will.
I'm just a private citizen, so I'm just here to talk to the mayor like you are, but, you know, when you were talking about this conversation you had with this police officer and reinstituting a foot patrol, I think it's important that the kinds of things you're hearing get communicated as well to the police department, if they haven't already, so that they know that there retaliation, maybe some trumped up charges, you know, things that when they're doing that sort of friendly, consensual contact, that, you know, when you said something like, may I look in your backpack, I mean, like.
These are for newer people though, okay, the
Probable
police know
cause
these
laws,
guys.
though. There's probable cause
I've seen the police, I've been out in front of hospitality, center, talking to a couple of guys who were having problems, same kind of problems with the employees in there. When an officer happened to come by for something entirely different, Officer McLaughlin, he knew him. Hey Joe, how's it going? Hey Steve, and was really nice, and they had a nice conversation. So the officers,
So
the
you
foot
feel
patrol
like
isn't
you
to
have-
walk around like this.
No.
It's more to, you know,
Well, that's
hey,
what
we're
I'm
here.
saying.
There's one
How's it
officer
going?
in town that I can speak to with confidence.
With confidence.
One officer.
Right.
And
I think there needs to be more, it needs to be every officer, but, you know, sometimes you can't get it.
It's, you know, it's basically the SS Nazi type of situation when it comes to the police with the homeless. And I mean, let's be serious. I've been housing in front of the library waiting for the door to open, you know, not loitering. I was there for a reason in the library, and it was earlier, so I mean, we weren't on the bench watching people come and go, and the guy that came to work had to step around one of us and call the police. You know, it's just ridiculous. I'm not loitering. It's the only library I've ever seen in America that doesn't have a trash receptacle in front of it. You know, I mean, the handicap accessibility there, and I've built homes for 25 years. Okay, the fire hydrant is 36 inches. I can walk around and do variance violations. They're not counting their guys all day long.
Okay, and once again, do you know who's responsible for the library?
Counting I do.
And so,
There's more places,
but it's in our city, so we have to do it.
when you look down a crosswalk, okay?
But it was built as a mortuary.
The lines that are
Originally
on the
a
crosswalk,
city project.
that's right, handicap accessible, okay? The lines at 8 inches of curb, you'll trip right into curbs on half the, and these are the upgrades,
Right.
you know? So I don't know who the building inspector was or whatnot when they got bored.
I want to find out what Ed wants to talk about.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
I think the city should be concerned about this one, is that it's almost a requirement to get on prescription medication when you go into mental health. And if you don't want to take it, you're not in a good position.
Right. and I've
So
heard that
dope them
before.
up, dumb them down. Do you want everybody doped up, dumbed down?
No.
No.
No, we absolutely
No.
don't.
And what's gonna happen when they open up the other house on North Harrison Street with a different type of client there? Do you guys have any information on that?
No, familiar with that, but, you know.
So that's all.
That's okay. And welcome. It's just, And the whole point of this meeting is to have dialogue like this and to have someone like her or whoever jump right in and say, well, what about this and what about that? That's what this is all about. So try
I
to
just have
connect with them.
one quick question for you.
Yeah.
I have heard by word of mouth that the Pattons are willing to sell the property that they're talking about putting that development on. That's one thing that, if I can verify that that's true, and if so.
That's true. I spoke.
You spoke with them?
At one of these meetings, I offered to call them and get an asking price and provide it, which I did.
What is the asking?
$4 million is what they said. That's for the
all needed.
entire piece of property. They don't want to piecemeal it out.
Right, the whole 21 point something.
Right.
Okay, thanks. That's all.
And the reason it's expensive is because of the money involved. You know, it's highway visitor commercial, and they spend a lot of money. But if it gets purchased by somebody and they want to create open space for it, they're certainly welcome to come to the city council and say, hey, could you rezone this? And you know, we'd have to go make an amendment to our local coastal program, and we'd have to go through the coastal commission. But it certainly could
be
happen.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Yeah.
You gotta go, George?
Well, I was just gonna say, there's one homeless thing that I wanted to bring up in this homeless conversation. There's a fantastic street medicine program in Ukiah. I say fantastic because I've talked with the guy, I've read about it. I don't know that as a person who's been a user of the street medicine program, but the premise is that at Ukiah Valley Medical Center, they now have a program where internists and healthcare workers, and they even have, they're talking about getting a portable EKG, but they're going to the homeless population and giving them health exams and giving them the care that will, the premise is, it keeps people out of the emergency room after everything's gotten to be so terrible that they're in the emergency room for 6 days. And I don't know if you guys have an opinion on the public medicine program that's happening in Ukiah, but I've talked to the guy, Kyle Loftus, and there's a group of us that are interested in having him come over. He's very interested in it. They want to expand the program to the coast. I think it's a piece of what we're talking about here in terms of services.
Not just medical, but
Yeah, and
also dental is needed as well.
medical, dental, and mental health, but the whole thing is going to the population. The thing is called the Camden model. It's very exciting. It arose in our country in a community that had been just hollowed out by multinational corporations abandoning the community, and Camden, New Jersey found that they had to come up with innovative ideas of dealing. They have a huge homeless problem in Camden. I mean, it just dwarfs anything we even think of here.
And their police are.
And they're really tough. So some people with good hearts and good sense, I think, developed this model. Now it's happening in our county. The people who are in charge of it in our county want to start thinking about it for here on the coast. So would you meet with somebody like Kyle if he came over? Because I told him I'd ask you at one of these meetups.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, to me, it seems really quite brilliant. I've read about it. As I said, I haven't personally been there. But Jared Huffman, bless him, he went and did that instead of going to the inauguration because of the way he felt about our current guy. And so he went and helped the street medicine program in Ukiah, which I thought was pretty good. And I think we should support a program like this. Would you consider that?
I don't know the details, but if you like it, I like it.
Thank you, Doug. I really appreciate that because I don't think this is like unnecessarily encouraging people to come to our community. It's already being offered in our county, but it
Well, they
makes
won't need
sense
to.
to me.
They have it over in Ukiah.
They have it
They have
in
to
Ukiah,
come here.
and
Fine.
we have health issues and economic issues with our hospital, and this is preventive medicine on a larger social scale, being sensible about bringing healthcare to people who need it.
I think it's a great idea. You know, what I've tried to do, and I think Scott witnessed it once at least, is when people complain about, that people are hanging out in the alley or whatever, I go down there and I introduce myself and I say, hey, I'm not telling you to leave, but just don't leave trash and don't, just be a good neighbor to the businesses.
Yeah.
You have a right to be here just like everybody else, but just be good neighbors. And that's really all it's gonna take, because what happens is, you get a few bad neighbors, and then everybody gets lumped into one assumption, and then, you know, people like Richard who are really trying to be creative and be part of our community here, you know, get lumped in with some guy that's, you know, flipping off the cops every time they drive by and spitting on store windows and
I've
stuff like
stopped
that.
doing that.
Break
I'm gonna stop.
This is bad behavior.
Some guys going to break the stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lindy, for doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I have,
Have a nice day.
Okay.
I go down
thanks,
that alley occasionally.
Yeah.
And I
You guys can come on up.
most recently seen somebody with a vest on
Okay,
in the
thanks for
alley,
stopping by.
walking and picking up trash.
Okay,
and
yeah.
stuff. They've had someone out there in the alley periodically with
Right.
a vest on, picking up trash.
I drive down there every now and then, but I
That's a
think we all.
troll. They're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I do have a question.
Okay, and Lucy, I'm sure does too, so let's move on here. Okay,
Oh, okay.
no, go
I
ahead.
was parked at the post office the other day and there were so many cars there, but I was parked up near Luna's
Right. Mhm.
and it took me over 5 minutes to pull out. No one would yield to you to let you in. I had my blinker on. And I would like to see a traffic study done at that intersection again to see how much the traffic has increased.
Are you suggesting a stop light? I mean, there's a four-way
I-
stop there right now.
I don't know. but
There's a
it-
four-way stop
Well,
at
I
the
know,
intersection.
but if you've got 10 cars in line and the traffic was all the way backed up to Luna's or even,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
And
then
they
you go into
don't
the
let
next,
right.
you go to
You've
the
got your
next.
signal on, this happens, I try not to park too close to the intersection when I'm at the post office for that same reason.
But if you're first, you can kind of
You
sneak
can
in
kind of,
there.
but, yeah.
I know what you're saying, I
And
don't
then you
know.
go to the next block, the 100 block of North Franklin, going south, and it's the same thing. You've got, because people are now using Franklin Street more than Main Street, but it's just crazy. And
Well,
now with the
typically-
limited amount of hours at the post office is another.
In my experience in circulation issues, which I sat on Public Works for a long time, so I have some experience in this, is they'll right now, as I was saying, there's a four-way stop north in the intersection of Franklin. There's a four-way stop at Alder, and there's a four-way stop at Oak. There's nothing more they can do. There's
a
nothing more
four-way
they can
stop
do.
at Redwood also.
There is a four, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a four-way
And
stop
there's
at
a
Redwood,
four-way
there's four.
Alder.
Right,
So-
every intersection.
So it's not like people are speeding up because they're gonna cruise through, you know,
No, I think it's
one.
more that there's just so many cars, they're all lined up, but people
Yeah.
don't, you know.
Well, now I don't have to call you, you're on my list to call.
Can I wait?
No, oh yeah, you wanna talk privately or do you wanna?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, let's, wait and I'll talk to you. Well, let's see how everybody, and if everybody's done, then we can
Okay,
have
no
another
problem.
conversation.
Appreciate it.
We can do that too.
Thank you.
I got your
Pleasure.
number, but I've been out of town.
No problem.
Okay,
No problem.
all right. So, anything else on that one?
So, well,
I mean, I don't know what else
well,
we
they
can
said
do.
it wasn't gonna increase the traffic at the 100 block.
Oh, I see what you're
either,
saying.
when
So you're saying the
hospitality
Old
house
Coast Hotel
center
might-
went
yeah.
in either. They said it wasn't gonna increase, and the traffic in those 2 blocks and is horrendous now.
Right. And part of the problem is they weren't required to do any parking. We waived the parking because it was considered a business.
Yeah, but
What were my objections, by the way?
yeah, no, I know.
Because we're trying to, we waived parking requirements to encourage businesses, because a lot of them were discouraged from opening up on Franklin Street because they had to provide
Yep.
parking. So
Yep.
if you were a business in the central business district, we waived those parking requirements so that it would encourage people to come in. And
I just would like to see how much it's actually
came
increased
in
since the
and,
last
yeah.
study, because
they had 3 parking spots in the back for their staff and told the city council that no one would be
But I
parking.
don't know
lose
if
on
traffic
foot.
is increased because of them so much as it's just.
It's increasing period, I think, too. I don't think so much, I was saying more parking, I don't know about
Yeah.
traffic, but.
well, I used to go to the post office later because I wanted to avoid the traffic, and now they've limited their hours, so everybody's crunched into these shorter hours and everything. But I don't know, I just am curious how much it's increased on that street. But yeah, it was like nobody would even let you. I waited and waited, had my
And
blinker
that
on.
has a lot more to do with.
You know,
just
and,
common
keep it
and
courtesy.
you even make eye contact with somebody and they,
I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
I have had that happen.
yeah.
It's very frustrating. And with the reduced hours, that definitely increases the traffic at
Yeah.
the post office than
Right,
it does
in those hours, yeah.
in those hours.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you can park at Purity, but then you have to walk.
Then you gotta
past
go
it.
out the alleyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jay, that you had?
No, I just came to listen.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, we
I
appreciate
noticed
what
that,
you're saying.
I was looking at the invoices for the Giving Garden and their internet has now gone down to under $15 a month from one bill of 800 and something and then 250 and then all of a sudden after the audit, it went to under $15 a month. They must have found.
I looked at those invoices last year, on behalf of 2 residents that requested to take a look at those. And there was a major fluctuation in a lot of the,
Well, they
bills
said-
that you get, you know, PG&E fluctuated dramatically, hours worked fluctuated dramatically, internet fluctuated dramatically. And there were people that felt that what they were doing is they were sort of padding their invoices to, you know,
Well,
move
even-
money around that was being spent maybe
Yeah.
somewhere else. I don't know.
The executive director, one bill is for 31 something an hour, and then it goes all the way up to over $38 an hour. Every month it's a different rate for the executive director, which I'm assuming would be the same person each month, and that
And it
executive
would be on
director is
contract.
Anna Shaw, yeah. I don't, it's very interesting.
Anyway, you're right, those invoices are interesting because there's a lot of fluctuation on what you might call, you know, basic costs that shouldn't be fluctuating.
Right. Well, thank you for looking at them.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of just small stuff.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so, I appreciate that you sent Kathy that response about our request that you move to a
Right.
bigger venue. We still want to, you know, reiterate our concerns about, you know, if there's an overflow crowd being that far away, because if there are people who have limited mobility who want to make comments, who are, you know, who are
Right.
here instead of at town hall, they really aren't gonna be able to do that, and then, you know, depending on the weather, well, you know, it might not be bad weather, so who
Well,
knows?
maybe some good neighbors could say, if you're in a wheelchair and you stay here, I'll go over there in case I wanna come, I can walk down, if that's the case. But
Right.
you understand our concern.
I
It's the-
do,
It's the technology involved. I mean, we really want the whole community to be able to watch this, to see it, to participate.
Absolutely, although we could set up that technology elsewhere, it's just that it's, you know, it's already
Well,
there.
no, but we have a
It's
live feed from Channel 3
Right,
in the building. We don't have a live feed at Dietrich Center. We don't have a live feed at
right,
the gym.
right.
We don't have, so you couldn't, the technology can't be moved around as easily as you think. I'd be the first one to say, let's do it, because I really want participation in everything we do, as much as we can, so that we can include everybody and make sure that everybody has, you know.
So,
some equal
yeah, just to reiterate
seat at the table, yeah.
that we have, that is still our concern, and then we'll just have to see what happens. Another concern is in getting documents released that are related to the EIR in a timely manner. Every time we ask for something, we're told we have to wait 14 days, and then we're told no, you know, and we've been told no for the administrative, the comments to the administrative draft EIR. And we keep getting told the same thing, and what's being said is kind of the opposite of, we think it's on our side and they think it's on their side, and it's like, you know, we don't wanna have to go to a lawyer and have a lawyer draft something.
Well, we went to a lawyer and our lawyer said that,
Really, because
You know,
because
our
that
attorney said-
balancing between in the public interest or not in the public interest, you know, it's just being stated that that's where the decision is, but it's not being stated why it's not in the public's interest. to
see, what's
release.
happening, what she's referring to is, as an EIR is being developed with this new project at Hare Creek, and I haven't seen anything, because what happens is, it comes in piecemeal. There are certain elements to an environmental impact report, so there might be the noise element, And the noise element is in draft form only, and the consultant that the city chose and that the developer paid for is writing the noise element and then sends it to the planning director to take a look at it. Have we covered everything? Is everything okay? And she'll look at it and go, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, and then send it back. There's a records request that every time anything comes in,
Right.
that we provided for the public, and according to our attorney, we don't have to, and it gets kind of complicated because it's time consuming too. So, I mean, I'm not a legal expert. I can't, I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
other than
some
I know
said
when
that there
it's
are-
finally released, that you'll have plenty of time to.
Well,
to
that's
go
our
over
other
the final-
concern, because in
And that's when you weigh in. That's when the public
going through
typically
some
weighs
of,
in.
yeah,
rather than
but
staff.
some emails that actually we found saying, talking about the timing of releasing things, because there's a certain time where the clock is started for public input, and then you hold a public meeting, which is mostly when people become aware of it. If that meeting is held near the end of that public comment period, people don't have the time to go in and read 800 pages of technical reports. There's some technical reports that have been accepted in their final form. And so, those need to be released, because those technical documents take a long time to really look at and digest. And for most of the public, that doesn't matter, but I'm a person that reads a lot of the technical reports. So, so some of it is just, those piecemeal bits. If something is accepted, okay, this is all the boxes are ticked off, we'd like to see it in the library. So.
Right.
And then one other thing that occurred to me is, I don't live within the town limits. I live in Fort Bragg, as far as the zip code is concerned. I do not live within the town limits. I do have a small business. I'm a sole proprietor of Music Together on the Mendocino Coast. So, and my business is licensed through the county. I'm an incorporated county property by the Botanical Gardens. Yet, a lot of the decisions that are made by the city council, and I understand why people can only vote for city council members if they're within the city limits, yet decisions are made that affect people far and wide. Has there ever been any discussion about having a seat one seat for people who are in 95437? Everyone who's in the zip code.
Here's how we tried to address it 2 years ago. We actually created a citizens advisory committee, and actually had town hall once a month, have a meeting for people just like you.
Yeah, John Fremont's group. That fell apart. Yeah,
and
that
fell
was
apart
John
because it
and
got
I.
you poor people got hijacked by all these other issues rather than what it was set up to do.
Right.
So I tried to set that up, and I think I moved it forward. John came to me first, and I went to everybody else, and we got it going, and then.
Right.
So I don't know. Part of the problem is, with the general law city is you can't, the city limits. That's the way it is. I don't necessarily take stock in where someone. We don't ask where you live when you come to the podium at the public hearing.
Right, but I get it thrown in my face. You don't even live in Fort Bragg.
Well, I've never said that to you.
You
And I would
haven't.
never
No
say
one
that.
on the council's ever said that, but people in the community say that, and it's true. I can't vote for you
Right.
guys.
Yeah.
I can advocate. I'd say vote for this person. I think that'd be really good, but I can't, and it's kind of frustrating because I work in Fort Bragg.
I agree.
My daughter's in the Fort Bragg School District.
And it doesn't matter what political party you're in. Everybody feels the same way you do. They
Right.
live outside the city or
Yeah.
have a business inside the city.
Yeah.
And I don't know. what
So
else
if we
to do.
change the type of the city and from a general,
To a charter, I don't know that would make that much difference either, because it still has to be within the city limits, and it's state law, it's a state law, it's not something we could change, and we would have to
And it's-
annex part of the county, and that's
Right.
not gonna happen, and, it's just.
Right,
it's
because
just not the way it is.
there's city services that are
Right.
included, and, no, I
I
understand.
mean, we might have, Barack Obama may move to Highway 20 just outside of town, and wouldn't he be great on the city council with all his experience? But he couldn't be a city council member because he doesn't live in the city limits. So,
Yeah, doesn't live in
it's the
the city
same
limits.
kind of,
Right, right.
It's
It's
tough.
just kind of, yeah, and it was just something that had occurred to me, so I appreciate
Right.
that perspective.
we tried. I'm sorry that didn't work, and I
Yeah.
don't know, we could We could try it again.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was John and I kind of holding it together, and you're right, we got hijacked by a number of circumstances. I mean, we went to the college and asked, hey, could we have a space where,
Right.
you know, because we don't have any money, you know,
Right.
have, you know, anyway, okay.
All right. Yes,
I'm next. eh?
you're next.
I
Actually,
live-
this gentleman was next, but I don't, is he still out there?
There's nobody.
Okay.
I live right near Footliners. The building is falling apart.
Yep.
The shingles are falling down. It's
Yep.
dangerous in the
Yep.
rain
Yep.
and the wind. And I think the city needs to condemn that property or do something about it.
Okay.
It's also never occupied, and consequently, there are rats around it, and people use it as toilet.
Right.
It's very offensive on the street. I have garbage pails, because I live right near it there, and people use my garbage pail, so I think I should get an allowance from the city for
Right.
keeping the place clean. No, it is, I have
Well,
talked
you know the
about it before.
situation, right? I mean, the legal situation that's going on there.
No, I don't, but I do think that public safety
Yeah,
should
no,
be the
I'm
priority.
look, I agree.
Whatever
100%.
political thing, I know it's a
Right.
great loss that we don't have the radio station there.
MCTV
Right.
was
That
TV.
was fantastic
Yeah,
and a great service to us all.
yeah. And the
And a
Footlighters
great
had for many,
loss.
many years.
And now we have a slum neglected area that is dangerous.
Right, right. And the Footlighters, because they're unsure of the future of their building and their group, their theater group, have done nothing because they feel, why should they put a bunch of money in when they're just gonna lose it anyway because they owe $83,000 and more than that, I think, to the attorney who prevailed for them. And now he wants to get paid, and they've already paid him, I don't know how many thousands of dollars, and he wants more.
Well,
Thousands, so.
it's beyond money though, and also,
Well,
they have solutions because there are other theater groups, and they could invite them in and either refurbish the building, or it should be used for the homeless. And empty buildings
Well-
with homeless around, it's not correct behavior
Yeah.
for we citizens.
Right, okay.
I like your idea if they got some other theater groups to
Of course.
share with
Right.
them. Maybe that would be a suggestion they would
And they were
entertain.
kind of uncontemporary anyway in their
Right, right.
presentations. And the world is very forward moved,
Right,
moved forward so much.
right. But then there's also, you know, some people enjoy history. And
Yeah.
and that style of sort of vaudevillian kind of
Well,
handing
there's
it out
room
type
for
of
that.
theater, I mean, you know, some people enjoy that.
Yes, there's
Can't call
room
them from
for
the audience.
everything,
Yeah.
but
It's
public
fun,
safety.
Art
but
is art.
sustaining, being able to sustain,
Right.
I mean, I know Gloriana's really struggled and they.
Buses used to come for the Footlighters show years ago. Buses would come
Yeah, a
on
big
Wednesdays and
bus on Wednesday.
Saturdays. There was a guy that organized tours here. And
Right.
I still make a point to go every year to see their show. I mean,
Right. They were over here at the Odd
Sonic
Fellows Hall
Hall.
one year where their heads were this far from the ceiling when they were on stage, and they, you know, they've been through a lot, and
So whose buses were those?
there was a guy from the North Bay area,
right.
Wimpy or something, I can't remember his
Right.
name, but
No,
he
they
would
brought 'em
take
up,
people, they would go to like the wharf for dinner and maybe the skunk train and they would see the
I mean,
Footlighters
the Bay
show.
Area is a huge,
Yeah,
Right, somewhere in Marin County, I think, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what happened with that? Like, why did that fall apart?
I'll take a look, I'll talk to our community
I don't know,
development
but I'd love to
partner here
organize
and see if they can take a look in terms of public safety and
Yes,
what's
the
going on
shingles
there.
are all falling down, they're
Well,
on the
the
street.
last thing we need is a fire hazard right across the street, so.
And, yes, so thank you
Yeah.
for that. And also, the history of the building, what happened before it was Footlighters? It
I think they built
obviously
it.
was a historical building.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's named after some kind of Finnish.
Oh, really? So
person.
maybe it was a finished
There
hall,
was
yeah.
probably some very important history
Right.
that if brought forward could bring some kind of public assistance.
Right, well, there were a lot of Redmond's Hall, there was probably some sort of hall where the Finnish bands played and had their dances.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Talk
thank you
about
for being
history.
here.
yeah.
I appreciate
And
that.
what
I
was
was
your name?
able to tell you. I'm Cecile Cutler, and I live right across the street.
Okay, and Do you mind,
360 North McPherson.
okay, all right.
You want my phone number?
No, because we're live on Facebook and I don't want
Okay.
to go out, but I do want to, if I find something out, I'll go rap on your door and let you know.
Okay. Because I would love it to see some improvement or
Yeah,
some
yeah.
maintenance.
Okay.
The
All
city
right.
has a maintenance crew. If it's safety, it should be
Well,
banded around.
yeah, we just don't have a necessarily building crew, we got a public works crew. But we also could put a lien on the building and require that, you know, I don't know who it belongs to these days. That's why I said it's in a kind of a weird state of legal issues right now.
Maybe it'll be inherited by the city.
You
Well,
never know.
well, thank you for being here.
Okay, yeah, thank you. All right, where did, there he is. Okay,
I hope you know that homelessness is systemic.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because of the systems that are in place.
Yeah, it's all over.
Systems get set up to be able to take advantage of anybody and everybody.
Well, not only that, these systems were set up, these institutions, to deal with a whole different type of homeless person than we have today. And that the institutions haven't kept up with the time, and that's part of the problem too, I think.
Well, it's only gonna get worse with
Yeah.
everything going the way it is.
Yeah, all right, well, Richard, thank you very much.
You have a good day, Linda.
Okay. Lee Gates.
Danke. Alles in Ordnung.
Okay, well, let's have a little chat. Is that off?